Well, hello everyone. I am so excited to be here with you and to explore something that I'm seeing more and more in the clients that I work with. And I think that as modern life kind of becomes more modern lifey, that it's something that we really need to bring awareness to and understand the implications of. And so that is this feeling of being pulled in a million different directions and kind of skimming the surface of life rather than actually having an intention or a clear direction. So it is this kind of reacting instead of responding, reacting instead of being intentional. And, the more connected that we are, the more that we just never stop. There's this 24/7, 365 news cycle. We're constantly plugged into all the things, all the devices, all the stuff across, we know what's happening on every single pocket of the planet at all times. And there's just always something to do, another distraction, another obligation. We put more things on our plate. We get the FOMO, the shiny object syndrome, and it's easy to let that kind of snowball and turn into a life of its own, and we kind of dig ourselves deeper into this hole, and we find ourselves more scattered, more depleted, and more misaligned with what truly matters to us. We lose touch with what it even is that truly matters to us. And so we're just kind of feeling empty and disconnected and chasing something, many things outside of us to fill that void, to fill that sense of discontent and disconnection. And the truth is it's not outside of you. There's nothing outside of you that is going to bring that sense of contentment and connection. And so I invite you, what if instead of feeling overwhelmed and overextended and thinking that you had to do the things and keep up and please the people or, you know, keep chasing the trends to fix you or to make you whole or heal you, what if instead there could be simplicity and ease and clarity and alignment? Yeah. So just kind of feel like what both of those feel in your system. I'm sure as a fellow modern human, you can relate to both of those feelings. That one being, the all the things I gotta do and I gotta follow this and all that stuff. For me, it's this energy of up and out. But I'm curious what your experience is. And then when we can feel into the opposite of that, where there's clarity and confidence and ease and groundedness, what does that feel like? For me, I can breathe better, more deeply. I feel like I'm, in and down or in and back in myself. And so we're going to explore more of that today. Mm. And for those that don't know or want a reminder, I am Devon, and I am an integrative health expert, an Ayurvedic health advisor, and a holistic life coach. And my true passion in life is guiding folks in reconnecting with nature's wisdom and rhythms to cultivate sustainable self-care and deep resilience and lasting vitality. And, truly, it's not nature's rhythms and wisdoms. It's like your own innate, because there's no separation. So at InnerSpark, we believe that nature really holds the blueprint for more easeful, clear, and aligned ways of living. It's the way that we were meant to feel in our bodies and in our minds and in our energy. And so when we align with that intentionally, haha, pun intended, because that's the topic of today's conversation, we can easily move from the chaos to the calm, from the depletion to the resilience, from the scattered to the grounding. Yeah. So before we talk about solutions, I want to explore a little bit more the cost of living without structure and intention and the impact that it's having on, I mean, everything, our us as a micro, and then the whole macro, the whole collective. And we could have many, many sessions about all of the impacts. So this is just going to be a kind of high level um, overview. But when we don't have these intentional ways of living, and when I say that, let's kind of maybe back up and define that. So when I'm talking about living with intention versus living very scatteredly, I'm talking about having a sense of self, a sense of your values, a sense of purpose, a sense of your yes and your no. So, an ability to set boundaries, an ability to stay focused because you are very clear on what your priorities in life are, what your passions are, what your values are. And this is something that we explore so deeply in the Everyday Rhythms program because it is so important. You can't make change and you can't create a nice solid foundation for yourself in the ways of, these sustainable self-care practices that everybody wants unless you really know those things. Unless you really know yourself and really are clear on, I always get an image when I bring this up with clients and when we talk about it in the program of like an archer. And I've never actually done archery, so I that form's probably horrible. But I get this image, this very clear, focused, single pointed direction, right? And that arrow is our energy, metaphorically. It's where am I putting that? Where am I putting this precious life force energy? Because if it's just haphazardly kind of like spewing all over the place, it's not going to do anything for you. We have this energy, this kind of bank account, and we need to invest it very wisely, very wisely. So when we don't have this structure and this intention and this clear focus for our life, our energy becomes fragmented and we start to, like I said, react instead of respond. So we're constantly putting out fires instead of moving forward intentionally. We let outside influences really get to us. Other people's emergencies become our emergencies. We are snippy. We find that, oh, we're just living by like the whims of life. And there's a difference between being open to adventure and a little spontaneity and just completely like willy-nilly, no idea what you're doing. Nothing's important to you, or you don't know what it is that's important to you, or you feel like you're not allowed to have things that are important to you, whatever the belief is that's getting in the way. And then you're just kind of reacting to life instead of responding to it and having that clear focus and those clear passions and directions. And then we overcommit and we overconsume. We say yes to too many things and fill our time with excess. And then at the end of the day or the end of the week, feel like we're exhausted and we've done so much. But what have we actually done? Yeah, I used to feel that way so much. I just went through life thinking I had to do all the things, I had something to prove. My goodness, constantly filling my plate, filling my time, saying yes to everyone, trying to people please, trying to just make things work without a clear intention and a clear direction. Because I didn't think I was allowed to. I couldn't have things that were important to me. I had to like just kind of try to make it and be lucky if I could. And that is a very depleting way of living. And so then by the end of my days and the end of my week, I was exhausted and yet felt like I really had nothing to show for it. Just an incredible misuse of energy. And then we feel scattered and stressed. Yeah, that was like I was talking about, that kind of energy that's up and out of ourselves. That's that vata dosha I'll talk about in a second. And we're unable to focus, unable to concentrate. Everything feels urgent. We completely lose touch with ourselves. Like I said, we're unclear of what is important to us, what we truly want or need, what our needs are. There's a sense of kind of being in survival mode. This overconsumption of all the things puts us in that survival mode, puts us in that kind of fight or flight place where survival is top of mind, not necessarily thriving, not necessarily digging in our roots to really go deep. So when we're in this place, like I said, it's like we're skimming the surface of life. We're just kind of like, oh, all the things, like da da da, and never actually grounding in and going deeply into those few things that we really, really want to explore, that we really love, that we really feel lit up by. And so over time, living this way, and like I said, these are just a few. We could keep going. Share with me some things that might be resonating with you so far that you've experienced. So these are some of the ways that not living intentionally shows up, and it creates this vicious cycle. Because then, like I said, we like dig ourselves more deeply into this kind of way of being. This we get stuck there, and we are using all of that energy to seek outside of ourselves and to just keep going. And so it's like when you're stuck in the mud and you just keep revving the engine and the tires keep spinning, but you just get more stuck. It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what's happening. And this is how depletion and ultimately disease begin to take place. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, energetically. We become drained, maybe not necessarily because we're doing too much, although, I'm going to say that's part of it, yes, but mostly because we're doing too much of what is not aligned with our natural flow, not aligned with what we are here to do uniquely. There's a line in the Bhagavad Gita I love so much where Krishna says to Arjuna, it's better to do your own dharma imperfectly than try to do the dharma of another and do it perfectly. And so by dharma here, it's your nature, translates to nature. So your unique nature and following that. Yeah, like a fish is not gonna do very well flying. It's not designed to be a bird. It's not designed to fly. So even if it like somehow figures out how to do that and do it perfectly, it's gonna kill it very quickly. And so it is much better for that fish to be the best damn fish that it can be than to perfectly be a bird for, maybe a little bit until it dries up and shrivels and dies because it needs to be in the water. I hope that resonated with you. So I talked briefly, and I won't turn this into too much of an Ayurveda thing, but when we can think about this scattered way of living, it is both a result of and a contributing factor to elevated vata dosha, the air and space elements. And that's how we can start to think about nature's qualities. So air is dry, and air and space, they're dry, they're expansive, they're mobile, they're light. And when we just keep putting more and more and more and more of that into our systems, whether, through the food we eat, what we listen to, what we consume, through all the senses, that is that, again, that image of like the stuck truck keep revving its wheels trying to get out of the mud, and it's just making itself go deeper and still using all of that gas and all that energy. It just creates more of itself, and it looks like anxiety, insomnia, digestive disorders, accelerated aging, dry skin, hormonal imbalances, creaky dry joints, pain, chronic fatigue, and any of those kind of pain related issues. I know for me personally, I live in a body that has scoliosis, and I also am predominantly vata. And when I am in periods where there's more vata, maybe it's, the autumn and winter season, or there's just more activity in my life, that's when my back will speak to me more. So it's like this is all connected, of course, of course. So again, this is us skimming through life without a real anchor or a real focus, a tether. And we miss the richness and the depth of things. And there's so much richness and depth for us to explore. Just popping over into the chat. Up and out resonates. Giving away our power. Yeah. And Alicia resonates. Mm-hmm. Cool. So, this is not how life was meant to feel. I didn't create all of this. I didn't create the universe and create all of the beings and all the things here. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and just really make the assertion that life was not meant to be lived that way or to feel this way. And I can say that with so much certainty because when I look at nature and I feel into nature's qualities and I feel into the rhythms and I just observe, there's a different model. There is a different framework. There's a whole different way of doing things. Humans are the ones that are like, taking it all and doing these weird things. So nature's model is steady and it's clear and it's deeply nourishing. And we can look at everything doing its thing in its way. So the sun, it rises and sets. It is this self-illuminated, life-giving source of heat and nourishment and light. And that's what it does. And there is a focus and a purpose. The seasons on the wheel of the year, they shift in an effortless cycle, and they each have their own purpose, their own energetic flavor, their own invitation, and that's what they do. And water flows, and water is wet. It will always be wet, and it will always flow. And it will flow with ease, taking the path of least resistance. And that's what it does. Fire consumes, and it's hot, and it's transformative. That's what it does. And so there's this sense of structure and flow. And nature is never in a state of chaos or uncertainty or depletion or overdoing. It is in its own rhythm, and it's not overextended. It's not trying to people please. It's not like, oh, you don't like winter because it's cold. Well, I'll just skip it for you and we can just go to spring. It's like, no, this is what we do, and we're doing it. So get with the program, right? Like that's what it does. There's clarity and intention. And so when we can realign ourselves with these same principles, whether it's observing the qualities of the elements, it's observing the qualities of um, the kind of stuckness and the misuse of energy that I referred to. That's called rajas and tamas, and that could be something fun for us to explore at a different time. Um, yeah. So energy becomes focused instead of scattered, and clarity replaces overwhelm, and everything becomes simpler and more easeful. So some simple things that we can start to do as we wrap this up here is to prioritize what is essential over what is excessive, and really minding what we consume through our five senses and slowing way down and taking a less is more approach to life. So less is more, minding what you take in through each of your five senses, and in any small way each day taking some kind of inspiration from a quality in nature and using that as an inspiration to appreciate and get to know your own unique qualities, your own unique dharma, your own unique nature, your own unique expression, and therefore getting really clear about your values and your priorities in life. You know? that fish who's really just like, I'm a fish and I'm going to be the best fish, isn't even like worried or looking out at like what the bird is doing or how it could be a bird. It like does not care because it's a fish and it's doing its fish thing very well, very happily. It's what it's built for. And so letting go of the outside noise and the outside influence that's trying to tell you how and who and what you should be, or the old trauma wounds, the old programs, the old beliefs, letting all of that go and getting really curious. Like, if I were to, I don't know if you ever saw the movie 50 First Dates. It was forever ago with Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler. And she she can't remember. She wakes up every morning and she like doesn't remember anything at all. So he has to remind her that they're dating, and it's like this 50 first dates because it's brand new experience every day. So what could things be like? Maybe, not to that degree of memory erasing. That's a bit extreme. But if you could just kind of let go of the beliefs and let go of the urge to like seek externally and to consume the things or please the people, or the beliefs that you are this way because of these things that happened. Like, if you could just kind of have a clean slate, you just wake up and you're like, well, no, I don't have any of that. I have no idea. I've never experienced shame. I've never felt betrayal. I've never felt like I wasn't good enough. Like, then what? What might that feel like? Then what might I do? What might I try? What might I be interested in? Just kind of playing around and noticing when those stories and beliefs start to pop up. Because we almost like reverse 50 first date ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, we almost wake up every day and we have a clean slate, and each day, each moment is fresh and pregnant with potential and possibilities. But it's like we kind of like do our own weird little 50 first dates thing where we're like, oh, but actually, no, I am this. I'm a piece of garbage. I am not worthy of this. I can't feel well. I'm not allowed, blah, 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 blah. And then we like operate from there. So what if we could just, that's never happened. I don't know. And then see what's possible from there. Total tangent. So yeah, there was just a few other little things I wanted to offer. The less is more, doing less of what's unnecessary and more of what is aligned with our true needs uniquely. And we will know what those true needs are as we investigate and slowly let go of the outside influences so that we can actually hear ourselves. Because it's loud and we don't realize just how loud it is until we like turn it down or turn the music off. Yeah. You like walk out of a party and you're like, damn, that was loud in there. I couldn't hear anything. That's kind of the state that we're all living in right now. We're a little desensitized, maybe a lot desensitized. So coming into an awareness of your unique gifts and passions and tendencies and preferences, and abiding by those and letting go of the rest. So some just things to consider: pause before saying yes and committing to anything, and asking yourself, does this align with my priorities and my values? Create daily anchors for yourself. So even those simple daily rhythms like consistent meal times or morning rituals, I mean, truly, probably the most overlooked and underappreciated things that we can do for ourselves right there. Consistent meals and morning rituals. That creates stability for your nervous system, your digestive system, your everything, your whole entire being. And allows you to get really clear on where you want to point that arrow. And then protecting your energy, being mindful of where you're giving attention and whether it's nourishing you or depleting you. So that's what I have for you today. That was a lot. And so I invite you to reflect now and maybe in the coming days, where in your life do you feel most out of alignment? Where do you feel like you're giving away this energy, scattering it to the wind and not using it intentionally? Where are you overusing your senses and consuming more than you need, giving more than you have? And what's one small way that you can simplify and bring more intention? Where might you be trying to be a bird when you're a fish, or being a fish when you're a bird, or whatever you are, because you are amazing and uniquely you, and the elements are expressing themselves in you like no one else and nothing else in existence before or after you. So really honoring that, the true miracle that you are, and reclaiming that energy and that focus. Yeah. So, if this resonates with you and you're ready to go more deeply, I really invite you to explore the InnerSpark Method Everyday Rhythms program. It is designed to help you realign with your true nature, your rhythms, so that you can simplify, stabilize, and truly thrive in life. And you can learn more at theinnersparkmethod.com/everydayrhythms. Thank you again for being here if you're here live, and for being here if you're watching the recording and you've stuck with me as I've really been on a good little tangent here today. I hope that this felt helpful. I love talking about all of this, so I'd love to continue the conversation inside of our community. Feel free to post any questions or experiences or feedback.